What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another exciting edition of the aGoT Masters Draft 2016 season. I have with me my stalwart White Book podcast co-host, Roy Rogers. Say hello,
Hi.
Roy. And,
Hi, everybody.
And I also have my good friend, Lucas Wade, relatively unknown in the community, but
I'd say completely unknown, in fact.
you post on the Facebook page occasionally.
Once or twice. I did so today, just so if people watch it, they'll be like, hey, he posted on the Facebook group yesterday.
Exactly.
It's fine. You're friends with a famous person, Patrick, and that's how you just get famous in Thrones. So you don't.
I took your road, Roy.
Yeah, you don't have to win anything. You can just befriend people.
Yep.
So right now I am attempting to muddle through my confusion here on OCTGN, trying to find out how to make people's hands not Ant-Man size.
Wow.
I think Scott Lang snuck in here and blasted the hands on OCTGN, so
Yes.
we're trying to work through this at the moment.
It's also a problem created by the fact that OCTGN doesn't run natively on Mac, which is one of the most frustrating things about OCTGN.
Sure is, Roy. You're telling me. Loading up this goddamn virtual machine every time I have to record or play a match is a pain.
Yeah,
Just further evidence of PC Master Race.
This week's edition of the Masters Draft sponsored by OCTGN.
Yes, I would never ever use OCTGN as an example for PC Master Race.
This is true.
Ever.
This is a good
And also, I have no idea. I clicked something next to one of their names, and that yellow pause button came up, and I never figured out what it was. I just rolled with it. But I did make their hands bigger.
There you go.
So,
we can actually see it. All right. So again, Patrick, why don't you tell us who's playing what here?
Yeah, let's do that. So we have Team Yoren's cart, piloted by Alejandro, and he's the Martel Fealty. And then we have the SoCal Stinkin Drunks, and they are the Targ Fealty. Their deck is being piloted by John Wright, frequent whitebookpodcast.com article author, and Ryan Jones is in here spectating, mocking, general fun having with me while we watch this game. And yeah, right off the bat, we see a duped Red Viper on setup, which just reminds everybody, hey, this is draft, and nobody but the Brits have marched to the wall. So you never have to worry about that except with them.
That's a nice feeling.
Yeah,
I can
right?
imagine. So it looks like the Targ hand going into the first turn looks really, really, really strong, with both Plaza of Punishment and a King's Road, plus some pretty good characters there. So they're going to have a pretty good first turn no matter what plot they flip there, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, they have a lot of low-cost characters, and, you know, in an environment where there's no first snow, that can be especially brutal. So as long as they are careful of that wildfire and don't overextend too much, they're in a great starting position here. And eventually, if I ignored this pause button and move on with my life, hopefully I'll click over to the Martel hand, and we can check that one out as well. But I don't think it's good, if I remember correctly.
Well, to just keep talking a little bit about Targ, since that's what we have in front of us. Plaza of Punishment is a really good card against Martel, because particularly in a no first no meta, a lot of the good cards they're going to be playing can get hit by Plaza of Punishment.
Absolutely, yep.
Like that stupid Maester.
But Martel also has good ways to not lose Power Challenge, i.e. if they have Condemned, which I'm pretty sure they got all of the Martel icon stripping attachments because they drafted anything they wanted. So there's a good chance they just won't lose Power Challenges if they play around it carefully enough.
It's true.
Does the Martel have Nymeria?
They sure
Or
do.
does that get hate drafted away? Okay.
Actually, they
okay.
don't, because Nymeria is not in this pool.
Oh, okay, that's right. All right.
They do not. They do have all the good Martell cards, though, which is why I thought they did. But they do not have Nymeria. And in fact, I want to say that one of the icon servers is not in the pool.
All right.
It may
So
be
we
a
came out
Tainted.
first.
Thing is,
we
it's
have not
Tainted.
been able to see the Martell hand, but they have flipped now their opening plots. So it almost feels like the core set meta again, with the Martell player flipping heads on spikes and the Targ player flipping filthy accusations.
Yeah, I definitely sighed a bit when I saw that turn 1 heads on spikes. I am never a fan of the turn 1 heads on spikes. Although, had the Targ player flipped it, it would have been pretty effective right now.
Yeah, it would have been.
But I mean, if you look at the Targ player's hand right now, like they only have like good cards in their hand. I'm pretty sure the Martell player's not going to be sad at whatever they hit.
I mean, they're not going to be sad at whatever they hit, but are they going to be? I mean, they hit a Drogon, so that's a free fire and blood. They just let them play Drogon for 1 instead of for 3.
This is true.
And they wasted their whole first plot. So I hate heads on spikes. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't hate heads on spikes if you build around it. I think the problem with opening with heads on spikes is that it gives, if it hits, that's awesome, and sometimes you obviously get the dream of hitting like Robert or something. But what it does is it puts 2 power on your house on the first turn, which is oftentimes a drawback, right? Because it gives power for your opponent to steal.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't mind heads on spikes as a closer, but I think as an opener, it's not particularly strong.
I should clarify. I hate heads on spikes as an opener. I don't mind heads on spikes if you're using it as like an almost winter festival that just sometimes gives you 2 power in the plot phase to close. And I don't mind it if you're like playing like Gaston or Things I Do for Love and you're just like bouncing their good characters and then heads on spikesing them. But like, if you flip heads on spikes turn 1, I'm gonna shake my head at you. I promise you that. If you do that to me in any media, if you do it on Octagon to me, I'm shaking my head. You can't see me, but it's happening. I promise.
Okay, so the Targ player drew, I believe, a Rose Road and Rhaegal?
Rhaegal, yep. So that dupe of Rhaegal, that's gonna come out straight away probably. And they're just going to have the option to use that fire and blood whenever they want it, or they can just hang on to it, honestly, and like wait for, a sticky situation when they really need that military icon. I mean, they have so many options right here.
Absolutely.
And like you said, with, giving them power to steal, they're going to be doing that power challenge because they've got the Plaza Punishment. So they're going to be trying to hammer that through to burn somebody down. And now they're just getting power for it, too.
Yeah, this is true. If I were a betting man, I'd assume that they play Rose Road followed by Jorah Mormont right here, and then keep the 1 gold for their Fire and Blood in case.
I think that's probably the play. You may want to set up the King's Road, depending on what plot you want to flip next turn to give you extra flexibility, but I could definitely see
Well, and they have that reducer, so they could do both of those things. They could set up the King's Road and reduce to play Jorah for 1.
This is
but
true.
They are going to go with the Rose Road. They're going to go with Lucas, and not Neil the reducer.
Oh. Okay. Octagon. Okay, so I do think some of that power is going to be coming off of the Martell player's house this turn.
Yeah.
Filthy, well, just to go back one step, I think Filthy was a very solid, in a no March meta, Filthy is a really solid opener in a situation like this, particularly when your opponent can set up a bomb character that you can just, on that first turn, just kneel out and be able to sort of set the tempo of the game, which you could easily do with Marched.
Yep, absolutely.
Constructed.
And especially because, with that Plaza out, that means that the Martell player is going to have to play minimum 2 characters, or they're going to lose that dupe of the Red Viper. And they could just be left with a solo Red Viper board again, unless they can really play out some of these chuds here. So.
And well, one of the problems that the Martell player has, now that we can really see their hand, it looks like they drew a Gaston and Caliote, is that almost all of the characters in their hand can get hit by Plaza.
Yep.
Like it's just really got to be kind of frustrating to be in this Martel player situation right here.
And I mean, a duped Edric Dane is just the worst thing in the world to see right now. I mean, if he plays just one copy, it gets burnt and the other's a dead card, and if he plays both, it still gets burnt and the other one just goes to the discard pile. It's just a lose-lose scenario. Those are basically 2 dead cards in his hand.
So let's see. I guess that it looks like what the Martel player's doing this turn is setting things up as sort of like a building turn, one might say, where he's just willing to eat it because his Red Viper is protected, particularly in a no-marched environment. So he can just sort of sit back and lose a bunch of challenges here.
Yeah.
But he's actually in a pretty good position if for the next turn, because with Gaston out and the King's Road set up, next turn could be pretty explosive with Tyene in his hand and the Knight, and even Ario is pretty solid against Targaryen. At 5 strength is pretty killer.
Yeah, he's not bad at all. I mean, they're definitely they're gonna swing in here with 3 unopposed challenges though, and that is rough to hit off on the first turn. They're going to be getting rid of a character and that dupe of the Red Viper, and they're going to be chewing through their hand a little bit. They'll probably take Dominance too. I mean, it's going to be a pretty brutal turn. Yep.
Thanks to that duped Edric, though, he's got plenty of claim soak. The brutal cheeky power challenge with the reducer.
Yeah.
That's like,
Slap in the face right there.
it feels good when you're the person doing it, but it never feels good to be on the receiving end, particularly when you flip heads on spikes and give your opponent power to steal on this first turn.
Absolutely. I mean,
Double, particularly with the Plasma of Punishment taking care of. It's just like that's the most valuable Chud power challenge I've ever seen.
yeah. I mean, 2 power and a dead character, all from a Targaryen loyalist.
So now he just does 2 more challenges, whatever order he wants.
Surprisingly enough, the Martel player does not choose to Gaston the Reducer.
So, it's interesting that they're using Jorah, because that was actually exactly what I was going to ask. Is I don't think you actually use Jorah in this situation. Because is there any real need to put any of the poison or betrayal tokens on him here when, the renown is nice, but it's better to keep him around a little bit longer and then use that renown to close a little bit, particularly because you have an opportunity in this situation to rush your opponent down.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on how quickly you think the game is going, and if you think you are going to burn through that Jorah or not. I would probably lean towards not using him in this case, I think, as well, but I could see a case either way. I mean, if they only think the game's going to go 2 or 3 turns, maybe getting that renown now will make things easier for them in the long run, but I can definitely see the point of just saving his challenges for later.
Well, I mean, the only way you would actually get value off of that is if he was planning on winning on turn 2, because if you win you win the 3rd turn challenge with Jorah, then you just kind of like wasted wasted him. So I definitely agree that they probably should have not used Jorah this turn. I don't think it's going to matter this much in the context of this game, but
sure. I mean, I think also another concern might be they don't want to get that duped Rhaegal Gaston just because they'll lose the dupe. I mean, that could be a factor. They don't really have anything else in their hand that they're that nervous about getting Gaston, so it's a possibility. I think it's really a toss-up either way, and
I would probably you used a Gaston and I duped Rhaegal? Okay, fine. Like, that's only a 1 gold difference there.
it's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a Rhaegal with no Dany out. Yeah, I really don't. There's no. Did they manage to draft Dany, the Targaryens?
Oh yeah, they
Okay.
sure did.
Okay.
If you ask, did they manage to draft, and it's a Targ card, the answer is almost certainly yes. They got just about every single good Targ card.
Oh, it's almost like drafting with Dan Struhall. Okay.
This is, I mean, I think you could take this deck to a regional and be pretty okay.
Go
Except for
3,
weird plots.
3,
Except for
3. Oh
plots, maybe. Yeah, their plots are probably a little lacking because
yeah. So let's just again take an assessment of this game at the first turn. The Targ player got 5 power, which is really quite impressive. But
6 power. They have one on Jorah.
Oh, they have one on Jorah, 6. Yes, I was just looking at their house card, which is quite impressive for the first turn. But as Dennis Harrison always has said to me, if your opponent on the first turn, it really, unless you're at like 10 power, it doesn't necessarily mean much. Because I've definitely played games where I've had like this much power, sometimes even more at the end of the first turn, and it slips away pretty quickly. So
I feel like Dennis is saying this like when he has a superior board position, though. Like
yes.
Martell's problem right now is they are losing 6-1, and their board is the Red Viper.
Yeah.
Like that's just not a good place to be in.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think it depends. There is definitely a point where you cross a certain threshold of power, and it gets really hard to claw your way back before your opponent can get to victory. And obviously 6 is nowhere close to that range, but one more turn like that last one where they are really just going nuts on the Martell player, getting a lot of unopposed power, that threshold comes up pretty quickly. And with Targ it's a little bit further because they don't have a ton of renown. But I mean, you definitely see that a lot with Greyjoy. I mean, if you let them get to like a 9 power, sometimes they'll just flip Rise and they'll win the game on a single challenge, and you'll just be like,
well, of course. I mean, of course, though, Greyjoy can win. Like I've seen Greyjoy win from like 6 power, but the thing that's nice, I think, for the Martell player is at least Tyene is going to be able to do some damage to this board. Should she come out? Although having Ariane is also a really good card. So the Martell player is in a very solid position on the hand level, and they just drew some pretty decent cards too. So things are not. It's not the end of the world for the Martell player.
For sure. It's definitely not an abysmal situation, but it's not great. I mean, in this board state, I mean, Tyene kills the Unsullied, which is a bit of a blow, but I mean, she's certainly not doing as much work as she could be.
This is like the largest hand of only characters I've ever seen. It's like 9 cards. All of them are characters.
That's a lot of characters, and
it's a draft hand.
A lot of characters that are getting plazaed. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those 9 characters are able to be killed by Plaza, which is pretty brutal. And
okay.
Them are entertained, so.
Okay, so we've got the Green Blood Trader. Looks at the top 2 cards of his deck. Wonder what they are. We'll see which one he grabs in a second.
It's a Blood Orange Grove. Grabbing something that's not a character, probably a good idea.
Yeah, probably a good idea. I mean, the hand of the Martell player is actually pretty good, particularly for draft. And so who do you think we'll see here come out here? Ariane, I think.
I think it's probably Ariane. Yeah, I think
Ariane and maybe the Chuddy Knight. Although the Chuddy Knight can get plazaed.
Could be the Chuddy Knight. Could be a Kaleo. I mean, I think at this point you can't let the Plaza hold him hostage though, because all of the cheap guys are getting plazaed. So
it's true.
At some point, he's just gotta say, "All right, this guy's coming out. He's gonna get plazaed, and I just have to accept that."
That's absolutely true. I don't know if Kaliote is the. I think you'd rather have the military icon.
I agree. I think in this scenario, it's the house Dane.
But we'll see. We'll see what they do.
Also, currently worth noting, the Targ player cannot beat the Martell player in a power challenge. So, I mean, obviously the Martell player is going to throw more characters out. But if the Targ player can't win a power challenge, then nobody's getting plazaed.
Right.
Well, but if they have to, overcommit a lot to the power challenge, that's not great for them either, though.
Well, also,
if they have to block the power challenge with Ariane and the Viper, that's a pretty big hit.
Well, but they can just. Oh, go ahead, Lucas.
In order to do that, they'd have to send people that aren't even out right now. Like currently, just the Red Viper will beat that power challenge by himself.
For sure.
Are you counting the Unsullied reducing his strength?
Yeah, with the
Yeah,
Red
yeah,
Viper 7 strength, so
right,
that's 4
7 strength.
to 6.
Right, yeah. I always forget that the Red Viper 7 strength. I think I've only played against him like 4 times in the year.
He's a big boy. He's a big boy, that Red Viper.
But let's not also forget that they do have Arya Hota, who can, if they really don't want to lose the power challenge, can make it pretty easy for them to defend that challenge and then win it.
Certainly,
Yeah.
certainly, that is also very true. And I think I'm just waiting for them to say that they're done before I hop over. Oh, no, I don't know why I'm not over on the other hand. I guess I'm distracted by something.
By life, Patrick.
Just getting distracted by life. I try not to, like, sit down and watch these games while they're happening, so there's a little bit of a mystery when I'm commentating here with you guys. But it often results in me being a little bit of a poor cameraman. So, rarely will you go onto a film set and have the cameraman not looking at the camera at all.
I don't know what film sets you're talking about, but the ones my sister works on, that's what's happening all the time.
Oh yeah,
They just put the camera. They just put the camera there. The producers are chatting loudly in a corner, and the actors, they just emote. That's how it works.
Yeah, no, I believe it.
All right, so I'm pretty sure. Do you think we'll see Illyrio come out here?
We definitely could. We definitely could.
Don't even know what they drew from the countings.
So yeah, that's true.
Let's click over to their hand.
Come on, past Patrick.
You can do it, Patrick.
You can do it.
Not doing it.
If they have Danny, they're gonna play a Danny. So
Sure,
That's true.
definitely we'll do that. I don't think they have a Danny though. If I remember correctly, they could not find the Danny for the majority of this game.
Okay. Well, geez, spoilers, Patrick. Now all of the tension is taken out.
Well,
What
I
is
don't
something
know.
big that they're gonna
Clearly,
play?
I have a terrible memory, so we'll
So,
find out if they have a Danny.
They currently have a 4 gold reduction.
Magister
on the character.
Illyrio, yeah.
And it is Illyrio for 1, which is
they're
pretty solid.
Sitting on that 2 gold if they want to use him.
Oh, okay. So that's what the done button is. You press it and it says done.
Yep.
I've never actually used the done button.
That is what it does. Yeah.
And the few times I've tried clicking on it just for shits and giggles, it doesn't work. So.
Yeah. Sure.
But I will credit the OCTGN designer for adding the hand size to the bar there, which is really nice.
It is.
Instead of having to ask your opponent or flip over to your opponent's hand and count the cards, you can just see right there, which is a nice little addition. So we can see, for example, that the Martell player has 6 cards in his hand, while the
It's all right. It's all good.
It's all good? It's all good.
No, it's fine. So
All right.
Now imagine that for like 30 minutes, and that was the second recording for the draft league that's never going to get posted.
Well, these are the wonders of modern technology. All right.
Yep.
So it's now the Martell players' challenges phase.
Still haven't seen that Targ player's hand. Oh, nope, that's Ryan. He's not playing, Patrick. Come on. There.
Oh, no.
Go. All right, so you drew a Dracarys and a Miri and another Plaza and a King's Road. Those look like the draws.
All right.
So pretty good
I-
cards.
I'm wondering why he didn't set that King's Road up this turn.
he already played a King's Road. He
Yeah.
played one.
Oh, he played one. Oh, that's right, because he didn't last turn. That's right. Right. That's right. Okay.
And no Miri because the Red Viper just kind of goes like, oh, whatever, Miri.
Yep. Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
But that Drac is really nice. Particularly juicy target is Ariane.
Oh yeah.
So
She is the juiciest target.
She's a sweet target in constructed,
Yep.
but she is a particularly juicy target in draft when you know the opponent is likely not going to have a hand's judgment to protect her. Or Risen from the Sun, or some card that doesn't exist that allows you to save her.
So, John playing the mind game of kneeling the faction card. Free challenges. Classic Targ fealty play. Just kneel
Indeed.
that action card right away. Make him freak
Make him
out.
guess.
Yep. But
Okay, here we
in
go.
fact, he does have 2 potential events that he can use that fealty bonus on. So.
Okay, intrigue. All right, so who will the the Targaryen player block with here, do you think?
My guess would be Rhaegal. I think he wants the power icons to push that power challenge through. So I think if he blocks it, he probably blocks with Rhaegal.
But I guess he'll use the stand if he wants to drac somebody.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, he might want to just keep him up for the drac and not bother with the stand. So
he might just leave it unopposed because,
he could
like,
just leave it unopposed and just.
But I don't know. His hand is pretty nice. Like, do you want to risk losing?
Yeah.
In this situation,
his hand has a Miri that you're not going to play a King's Road, which would be kind of nice. Another Plaza of Punishment. There's a lot of crap there, but yeah, he's going to choose to defend.
But I would not want to.
I
go ahead,
think
Patrick.
what he's going to try to do is he's going to try to get rid of that Red Viper and then have Miri just go to town. If he can get him.
That's a lot of pieces falling in place to get rid of that.
It's actually not when you think about it.
Blocking the power challenge with the Unsullied, and then getting Dracarys,
and then winning the power challenge and
Plaza him.
Yep.
And that's it, unless the Martell player Gastons the Unsullied before the resolution, because the Martell player is going first right now.
If he gets Gastoned, if the Red Viper gets Dracarys, then he can drop, the Martell player can drop Ario in if he hasn't done at that point in time. Just be like, oh, well, you're not going to win this power challenge anyway.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But of course, the Targaryen player can't know that the Martell player has
the Ario.
And I think it's not an overly greedy play to try to get your opponent to put, like, because the Red Viper is the biggest threat card there. I mean, obviously Ariane is.
I think it's a little
problem.
greedy. To be honest, I think that the play would be a little bit greedy, especially if they have the chance to Dracarys, Ariane, or maybe, the Knights of the Sun that's in the Martell player's hand. Going for that Red Viper, he is juicy, but there are so many things that could disrupt it. I mean, the Gaston alone being able to just ruin the whole play if the Martell player thinks of that makes it pretty greedy in my mind.
Oh, I mean, I definitely agree, but I don't think the Martell player is going to put Ariane in a challenge.
Sure, fair enough.
Like, I think she's going to sit nice and high and dry, but the Red Viper is the kind of character that you, even with the Plaza Punishment out, you usually don't think about being drac bait.
It's fair. I mean, it's not something that you think about. He's at that 7 strength, and it feels very safe.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, particularly with the Martell player now passing his challenges,
yep.
I think
here he goes. It looks like that.
Okay.
Definitely coming in with a big power challenge, trying to get him to block with Ariane and the Viper, and then a Dracarys on the Viper would definitely make him have to either dump in that Hota to remove the Unsullied, although he'd still lose the power challenge if he did that at this point.
Yeah, I think actually, I wonder if at this point, what do you do here? Because you can also win the military challenge, and with the Red Viper, and the issue might just want to eat the power challenge and bounce.
Kill the House Dane Knight.
Let him kill the House Dane Knight and bounce Illyrio, maybe.
I mean, you
with
could do
Gaston?
that. It would definitely slow them down a bit.
That way they don't get the stand.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think you could also dump in Ario to remove the Unsullied, and then block with the Viper. And if they want to use a Dracarys on the Viper without actually killing him, just to kill your Chud, that's kind of a win-win situation for you.
It's true.
I think that, and then Ario can defend the military challenge.
And also the Martel player wants to defend with Ariane, but he does not. He is playing around the Dracaris, which I think is the right decision here.
Correctly so. I mean, he's the Targ player has probably got these grand plans about killing the Viper, but if a juicy Ariane walks in front of that Dracaris, you'd be an idiot not to just burn her down.
Because as people who may still remember the meta of the constructed meta when Targ was one of the dominant builds, the Targ player always has the Dracaris. Always.
Every time, yeah.
Not when you're playing Targaryen, but when you're playing against someone who's playing Targaryen, they always have the Drac.
Oh no, yeah. I play Targ and I see like a 1 Dracaris all tournament. And then I get I get 5 Dracaris played on me in one final game.
You mean like...
Thanks, New York Star Championship.
Yeah, the New York Star Championship where Michael, dracked one turn... Dracked 2 turns in a row, then he rebuilding, and then drew another Dracaris because of the rebuilding.
The 3rd Dracaris off the rebuilding, and then played 2 more Dracaris in the rest of that game. Yeah.
Yep.
Flew halfway across the country just to get Dracaris 5 times.
Yeah, that's the only reason that you did that. I'm sure. Okay.
I was just like, man, I really want to get burned a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There we go. So this is interesting. So blocking with Knights of the Sun and with the Red Viper. Okay. So burn him instead. So he is trying to bait the Dracaris out. And he's being pretty explicit about.
I mean, so
about
this
that.
Is the question: if you're the Targ player, what do? Do you burn the Knights of the Sun, or do you go for the Wombo combo, trying to get that Red Viper down?
I burned the Knights of the Sun, Plaza the Halstein Knights, do a military challenge, and then they have the Red Viper left. And okay, they're doing it that way.
Okay, but
I agree with you, Lucas. I think that would absolutely have been my play, and I think it would have been a better play here.
Okay, but the question here is then, do you Ghast in the Unsullied here?
Absolutely. No question. Okay. You made them wasted Dracaris practically. It's a huge hit for them. Yeah, definitely.
Wait, who's... Oh, no, Martel is first player. Okay.
Yep, Martel's first player, so they're totally fine to Ghast in that Unsullied.
The question is, will they see that, though?
I mean, that is the question. It looks like he...
Will the Martel player see that?
He's not thinking about it right now. Maybe at some point he had that idea in his head and then forgot about it. I hate it when I do that. When I have a whole plan worked out and then I'm like, wait, how does this work again? What's the combo here?
What's the combo wombo? Okay. Oh, and to be smart, the Targ player is standing Rhaegal here in case Illyrio gets Gastoned here.
Yep.
So very, very wise.
Definitely.
Showing why SoCal again is so good at Thrones. Okay. So he passed and
he didn't actually pass. So I think.
My reactions first.
Jumped the gun a little bit here.
Okay, so he saw the play.
So he did. Yep. He did see the play.
Okay, good. All right, that makes me happy. Because that keeps this as a game versus. Just a blowout. Okay, so that, of course, brings the Red Viper up to 3 strength. 2 strength? 3 strength, because that has to be out of...
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is the exact right amount to not have him die. Still a big turn, but I mean he could have killed that Knights of the Sun instead and had him down to a board of just the Viper again. So
the play was definitely, I think what Lucas said, was to go with the non-greedy play.
Yep.
Particularly when you're playing at this high level, it's usually, against some of the best players in the world, it's usually best to go with the conservative play.
Yep, I agree. But they're Targ. Targ is flashy sometimes. They like those big flashy plays, and give the audience something to get excited about. So audience, let us know in the comments. Were you excited? I hope so, because otherwise, John Wright just made a slightly subpar play for no reason. So.
I just recognize the real why he's using Jorah. Like he's got another one in his hand because he's got another Jorah in his hand, so he's gonna
Yeah,
let
he's gonna let
Jorah.
this one go away and play out
Yep.
this one.
Absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense now.
Intrigue. Oh, okay. So no military challenge this turn then, right?
No, I think
Because if he's doing an intrigue with Rhaegal.
an intrigue.
I think that's not optimal.
Yeah, I really don't know why he
All right, past Patrick, switch to the. Oh, and he got he got an Edric. So
what a play.
and the Martell player wins dominance. So, but I mean, I think that was something that Johnny probably did to put one power on his house to steal this turn.
Oh, definitely.
Which is sometimes people do forget to do that as they're learning the game. That sometimes allowing your opponent, unless you're playing against like a Bear Dominance deck or something, allowing your opponent to win dominance when you're ahead allows you to make your power challenge worth something in the next turn.
Yep.
Okay, so
I mean, I think letting him win dominance was fine, but I think I definitely would have done the military challenge. Keep that board small. Stop him from just doing a stupid, annoying intrigue challenge with the Greenblood Trader again.
He's done that every single turn. Just
yeah.
intrigue for one. All right, done with challenges. Like, that's been his 2 challenges this game.
right, but at the same time, you are at 7 secure power and 9 shaky power here. So I think by Johnny's feeling somewhat comfortable, particularly with this hand. I think he's feeling pretty good about it for himself.
As we talk about the Targaryen player's hand, past Patrick goes to the Martell player's hand.
All right.
Well, you know what?
But the Martell player,
Patrick isn't quite as good of a precog as you might hope.
but I think actually switching to the Martell player's hand is
Yeah, that was
the
a
right
good
decision. Because the Martell player, I think, okay, a second summons. Ooh, they drafted both summons
They
and
sure did.
okay.
It was a back-to-back draft, summons, and everybody was not pleased.
I mean, it's both. It's the great thing about drafting a card like summons is it's both a hate draft and a really good card. It feels good to both deny your opponent that card and or opponents in draft, and also have it for your own deck. Okay, so who do you think the Martell player wants here? Like, if you could have the top, if you just pick what might improve the game here?
To draw.
Yeah, pick a card. No, pick a card to pull because he does get to choose.
Oh, for the summons, yeah, sure.
For the summons, yeah. Who is Martell looking for here?
Who saves him? I mean, Nymeria that doesn't exist would be very nice.
Nymeria would be sweet, particularly with Ariane.
I mean, I think that's a fine play. Just another strong body. I would say I would have probably said like maybe a Palace Spearman would have been pretty ideal. Somebody who can have all 3 icons and just keep them okay. Although they are going first again this turn, so Knights of the Sun is just as good.
Absolutely. All right, so now going back over to Targ.
So now I guess the question is, do they play the Mary and just hammer the Targ player there, or the Martell?
In this case, I'd think so. Like, they don't have that much else to play, to be perfectly honest.
Yep.
And I mean, and they have the Jorah strike primed and ready, so they can do Miri and Jorah, and have Jorah discard himself and just make Miri
That is, by the way, 3 turns in a row that Greenblood Trader has been played.
all 3
So
turns
that's a
of
pretty
play.
good draw.
I mean, it's as much draw as you can have in Martell, pretty much.
Patrick, I'm definitely glad that your past self is sitting during the Martell players marshalling
right
in
on
the target.
Targ player's hand. Oh, no, there we go. I did.
Well, it's only fair because you did do that for the Targ players. The Martell players' hand during the Targ players marshalling last time. So
yeah, exactly. I gotta spread it out here.
So he took Desert Scavenger.
Looks like he's probably gonna just play that Ariane and and get ready to play the Knights, or he could play the Knights and save one for a Hand's Judgment.
Hand's Judgment is pretty good here.
Yep.
But I mean, in draft, would you be concerned with the second Dracarys here?
I mean, he's got 3 Dracarys and he has a 60-card deck, so
That's true. That's true.
it's just as good a chance of him having it as there is in Constructed.
That's true.
And I think he just realized that he is not going to be able to play both Ariane and save a gold for Hand's Judgment, which looks like that was his plan. He said my math was bad there, so.
So he just plays the Knights, and I'm pretty sure.
But then he doesn't have the chance of dropping in that Hota, and I think, I mean, with our all-knowing knowledge of both players' hands, I think Ariane is definitely the right call, because being able to Hota Miri is huge.
Yeah, she's
And
just so
especially
much more flexible. She plays to your options.
And we know that they don't have the Dracarys step, so to be fair, you know, in that moment, Targ always has the second Dracarys, so. It's
Absolutely.
it's a tough move.
Okay. So, what... Martel is just in a really bad spot here. Okay, yeah, he does play the Knights of the Sun and save the 1. Okay. So, I do think that this is a little too scared of a play. Even without perfect knowledge, I think Ariane, because she gives you the flexibility of deciding whether you want to Hota someone or just drop the Knights of the Sun in, is probably the better play.
I mean, I think they're just utterly terrified of that Dracarys, though.
Yeah. I mean, if they have Dracarys, they can do the exact same thing that they did last turn in doing the play out the Unsullied, Kneel, Dracarys, Viper, kill Viper this turn, and then there isn't no Gaston to save them this time.
Although,
so just the recency bias there is kind of scary.
I mean, but from what we know now, I mean, they're in a huge pickle now, and they're about to see it, because Miri's going to hit that table, she will be able to win that Intrigue Challenge, and she's going to kill somebody big.
She's going to kill the Viper, I'm assuming.
If he doesn't block with the Viper, she kills the Viper, hands down. And then, yeah, I mean, basically the Martel player has to do no challenges except that cheeky Intrigue again in order to stop Miri from winning 2 challenges and just winning the game, basically.
Right, and with the King's Road, the Targ player is in position to play out Miri and save 2 gold to use Illyrio.
Yep.
So that means they can pressure on both the Intrigue and the Power Challenge, which is really going to be really frustrating.
It's going to be a brutal turn here.
And it just shows, I think, one of the real strengths of Targaryen right now in this meta. I mean, Miri is just such a swingy card. You need just one turn with her,
exactly.
And you can just blow up a person's board. It's probably, I think, one of the most frustrating things to be on the receiving end of in Thrones right now.
It's a close call between getting Miried or getting like your Varys Gregord by pillaging a Randall or a Jaime. That's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, I've had. I mean the Viper, the Mountain hitting, killing save, for example, which has happened to me multiple times. Rob and then killing fast Eddie.
Yeah.
Is so 2 of your 3 best four best characters in your deck are dead in 1 turn.
Yeah.
Is pretty brutal.
The Mountain definitely hits Stark disproportionately higher than the other factions right now. They just have so many good 6-cost characters, and the Mountain will hack through all of them.
Miri, sad times, which I believe
a true statement. Been spoken.
Indeed, in Thrones. This is where I think playing Ariane, and I've been playing a lot of Martel Wolf recently, and it just the power, and that deck really hammers home the power of Ariane, just the flexibility that she gives you.
Yep.
I think really would have been the better play here.
Yep.
Even though, yes, having that Hand's Judgment and being able to cancel Dracarys is really solid, but I think the access to aGoT, I think, is actually stronger than the Hand's Judgment.
Definitely knowing what we know now about Miri, that is the case.
Well, but just also, you can use, even without Miri, even if Miri wasn't played, you can use aGoT to prevent, so you don't have Gaston, but you can push the Unsullied out of that challenge. If, for example, if we're looking for a repeat of this turn. Although the close call in the plot deck there will certainly help a little bit with this Viper that may have bad things happen to him in a second.
He certainly looks like he's going to be on sad times.
Okay. All right. Past Patrick. Illegal first edition. Viper. Oh, yeah. Or Valor. Okay. Or Viper. The first edition Viper would be pretty good here.
That would work too. Yeah, first ed Viper coming on the table would be pretty good.
For second edition players who didn't play first edition, the Red Viper in first edition was immune to character abilities, not just your opponent's character abilities, all character abilities, which was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. I mean, it would be very nice in this situation, though, not being able to immune to events, immune to character abilities.
I mean, he definitely would make 2.0 Lannister players cry. I don't know what Lannister would do against that card.
Yeah, they would have some issues, certainly. They would have to start playing the Tower of the Hand, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, location abilities were very strong against that Viper.
Except for they can't actually bounce him back because he's 7 cost.
Well, I mean,
that's true.
If they upped his cost to 7, if first ed Viper were 7 cost.
Oh well, he may be an 8 cost character.
Yeah, right.
Just straight up reprint him.
He might be.
Okay, so
Lannister just has to get that 10 cost intrigue army.
So we have an
anybody.
So we have an intrigue challenge coming with the Viper. So, I mean, I guess this is the right play. I mean, the Viper gets to have at least a little bit of fun here. He claims a power.
I do not think this is the right play at all. I think that, I mean, this now means that they are losing 2 Miri challenges instead of 1. If they had left the Viper up, Miri swings in. They at least have to use Jorah in the challenge, so they lose the Jorah, and then they kill the Viper, but they've got the 2 Knights to block the power challenge, so they'd only lose 1 Miri challenge. This way, Miri swings on an intrigue, kills one of the Knights, swings in on power, kills the Viper, and plazas somebody, and a military challenge. I mean, they're practically getting their board wiped now.
That's true.
And they discard the Fire and Blood that they've been sitting on since turn 1. With that dead Drogon just never coming out.
Poor Drogon. Okay, so I will be completely honest. If I was in the Martell player's shoes here, I might scoop in the tournament.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, if you look at our video timestamp here, I think you may be making a premonition.
Even with close call, with one of the dupes in the discard pile, and there's only one, and both of your summons used, it's going to be pretty brutal. Yeah, I definitely agree, Patrick. As fun and cheeky and maybe feel good as using the Red Viper was in that turn, if you were really playing for the long game, it was probably better to keep him standing.
Plus, they didn't do the cheeky intrigue with the Green Blood Trader. They could have done it every round for this whole game. They gave it up.
So
I think that's the cost in the game, was the lack of a cheeky intrigue.
Yes.
Well, okay. Well, let's while the game sort of runs its logic, I've got a couple sort of so. I think this is one of those games where, as SoCal would call it, but SoCal was not on the receiving end of this, where I believe the Martell player was 2.0'd in this game, where just from setup, there was very little chance that this Martell player had. and then the Targaryen deck's draws really just also put them in a situation that there was sort of almost minimal chance that they were going to win.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a rough situation. I mean, they had the plaza on turn 1, and Martell's hand was just full of juicy plaza targets. I mean, coupled with the Dracarys that was not actually used to great effect, but was still definitely a factor. It was just a very tough game. But I mean, to be in the Martell player's defense, and I guess in defense of the term getting 2.0'd here, I blame everyone in this league for letting SoCal draft this monstrosity of a deck. I mean, they've got Dany, Rhaegal, Drogon, Viserion, Dracarys, Miri, Plaza, Illyrio, Drogo. It's like, what are you doing? They have every single Targ Fealty power card. And it's like, no wonder they're going to lose. One deck has First Snow, which is a good counter to Targ. And everybody else, I mean, it's like a core set meta Targ Fealty deck. It's ridiculous.
Right now, it's wishing that...
That's my...
So you believe that the real loss here then was in the drafting process?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean,
oh, come on. That's so generous. That's so that's just rubbing it in. That's rubbing it in. Ice cold. Yeah, I think the scoop is coming.
The scoop is imminent here. I mean, they're down to 2 characters, a Knights of the Sun and a Greenwood Trader against a Miri and a Plaza, and yeah, this game is over in a tragic final turn here for the Martell Field. I mean, what a brutal third round.
Yeah, 3 plots. Oof.
I think I looked away for a bit and came back to this wrecked board. Yep, and there is the scoop.
So I guess I'm more trying to think about the draft, which I watched a good chunk of the draft. So so it looks like people were more scared of Lannister than they were of Targaryen.
Yeah.
They were very scared of the Wausau Wolfpack for some reason. They were getting hate drafted like none other, drafting their Tyrell Stark deck.
Yeah, there was definitely an unusual amount of what appeared to be hate drafting towards them, but
well,
I think
to be completely honest, I would hate draft against the Wausau guys. I mean, I'd also hate draft against Ryan, who is Ryan's team, our current reigning draft national or world champion.
Right.
But
I mean, yeah, the Wausau meta. To be fair, the Wausau team is composed of 2 world champions. So they're definitely, I would say, 2 of the best Thrones players in the world, and there are 2 of them on a team. Although, also, to be fair, they are drunk a lot of the time while playing in this league. So how much of a threat they actually are has yet to be seen. Whereas Ryan isn't even playing the games. He's letting John do these. He's like Eddard Stark. He doesn't compete in tourneys, so that people don't know how good he is when he comes and crushes their face in battle. So I have a feeling that Ryan Jones is going to come out of the woodworks for the finals here and smash some people
and claim all the glory for himself. And after his minions did all of the hard work, the grunt work.
He's like a classic scientist. Just his grad students do all the work, and he just comes in here and is like, "Oh, I got it. I did it all."
That's the pleasures of being a 3-time world champion.
Yeah,
I guess
you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, you're just allowed to do a victory lap.
Yep.
And Ryan, I think, is actually right when he says in the chat there that the Plaza was the game. The ability to play Plaza on the first turn, and then even protect it, not that Martell has location hate, but with a dupe if he needed to, was just...
Yeah.
I mean, in a core set meta, one of the things that kept Martell down was Targaryen, and now in a situation where you basically have a Corset Targ Fealty deck that you're playing against. Martell is going to be in trouble, even with the additions of really solid cards like Knights of the Sun and the location or the attachments, which they didn't see.
Yeah.
So,
Which with the icon stripping ones?
yes, the icon stripping ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say good game and well played, but it was a very depressing game to watch.
Good game, Plaza of Punishment. You played
Yes,
well.
Good game, just really good Targ deck. Like,
Yeah. Just
Brutal.
that last turn hurt to watch a little bit. All right, well, good night, folks. This has been another edition of the Masters Draft, brought to you by OCTGN and the Plaza of Punishment.
Danger Zone.
Hope you guys enjoyed Danger Zone.